and when you're watching this. Welcome to Keep This in Mind, brought to you by Specht.com. I am that guy. This morning I did a little experiment. I had seen on Facebook a friend of mine who's in the real estate space. Let me bring my microphone a little closer here, folks. In the real estate space, that said that interest rates were expected to remain at 7% in 2024. There were some that were hoping that interest rates would go down to around 6, 5-ish, maybe even as low as 4 as inflation began to cool. I sound like a business podcast, but again, let's get to the point. And it made me think for a moment based upon some conversations that I had with some friends in the industry was, what if things don't change? What if the days of 3% mortgage rates are over? What if that, the people that are waiting for things to come down, they never do? Do you see it as an obstacle or an opportunity? And I posed that question on Facebook this morning. Do you see current interest rates as an obstacle or opportunity? And the comments that I got were great because they were exactly what I was expecting. Some people saw them as an obstacle, based upon income and type of home and the desire for home ownership. Some saw it as an opportunity if you have the disposable income to make the down payments necessary, or to take advantage of the fact that homes aren't moving, and so there's an opportunity there to negotiate better price. And it got me to thinking, where are our mindsets? What has happened in our past that we can learn from that will help us move forward when things like this happen? Because this could be a shift. It could not be a cyclical thing, but really a shift to where the normal is around 7%. Now, I was thinking back in 1984, when my family moved from Louisiana to Florida, that interest rates were in the double digits. And we financed a home, my parents did, in double digits. Now, I know that the price of the home was much lower than what prices are now, but the fact remains is that we were paying a double-digit mortgage. So it's not unheard of for there to be double-digit mortgages. And a double-digit mortgage in the right environment is not a deterrent to real estate. Again, I'm not a real estate expert, but I'm just telling you, people were moving. We were an example of people who actually moved during a time when interest rates were double digits. So, what kind of mindset do we have to have as we look at these outside forces? Do we have the mindset that we get real content on where we currently are and figure out a way to make that work in hopes that interest rates may come down? But what if they don't? What is the plan then? Is it a situation where you create more income, that you save more and more for a larger and larger down payment, thereby bringing the amount of money financed down to where the payment you were looking for may be still 3 years away, but you can get there if you sock away what you were planning on paying, or taking a side hustle or whatever, just increasing the chunk of money that you put down. What if you're in an investment space and now you're starting to look at opportunities where you realize that maybe rental is the wave of the future, that apartments and homes for rent are the way to go, and you're taking what you have to invest and you're putting it into that direction, because with every obstacle there's an opportunity if you're willing to look for it. I say all those things to say that life happens, folks. Nobody expected a global pandemic 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. Think about that for a minute. And yet it shifted so many things that will never go back to the way they were. And the people who realize that and understand that and take advantage of the opportunities presented by that fact are the ones that are thriving today, the ones that will continue to thrive in the future, because as they look towards their future, they realize that they can't always do what they've always done because they're not always going to get what they've always got. So back to the interest rate question. If interest rates never come down below 7%, how does that change things? Well, number one, it will make real estate as a sales business a little bit more difficult, which means that the good salespeople, the really good ones, the ones that know how to do these things right, the good mortgage people who know their craft will rise to the top and they will survive. And by attrition, because more and more mediocre folks in that industry will begin to fall off, their business can actually grow. As a person who's not in the industry but maybe looking to buy a home or to borrow money for a business endeavor or whatever, now all of a sudden we have to look more at delayed gratification. We may have to work harder and longer towards the goal before we can go to the bank with the plan, with the desired purchase, because we know it's going to cost us more to borrow that money. People with cash, well, again, cash is king. If you got enough cash, you know what? You can go buy whatever you want. But more people than not in the major purchase arena have to rely on some sort of funding source, some sort of lending source. So we're going to have to learn to delay that gratification and not jump into something because no longer is it easy. And can I tell you, as somebody who's went through the mortgage process about 18 months ago or almost 24 months ago, even at 3%, the mortgage process is not easy. So I want to just encourage you today, be prepared that interest rates aren't going to change. Just go ahead and chalk it down. Yes, we can hope that they come down, but let's just act like if they're not. What are you going to do now? What are you going to do differently? How are you going to be better? How are you going to be more able to do what you want to do in that environment? Once you shift your mind focus from waiting and hoping for things to come down to the place of where I'm taking action based upon where things are, you have a much greater chance of success because you are living in reality instead of some sort of hope that may never happen. Then what happens if interest rates do come down? You're so much more ahead of the game. Again, you can buy a house and refinance. That's a thing. But the truth of the matter is it all gets back into this thing here. The fact is interest rates are 7%. But the reality is whatever we decide to do with that information. We can either throw our hands up and tell everybody how bad it is, or we can train ourselves to look for the opportunities that lie within the 7%. Hope you have a great day. Again, I want to be your coach. If you want to learn more about me, get my book, Old Dogs New Tricks. Go to olddogsbook.com or go to davidaspecht.com. Click on David's book. I've got some great add-ons to it if you haven't read it. If you have read it, I encourage you, please, please, please leave a review on Amazon so more people will see it. Like and subscribe to this show on YouTube, on your favorite podcast platform. But remember this, I can tell you all kinds of great things. But at the end of the day, it's not knowledge that's power. It's what you do with it. So apply that knowledge today. God bless.